Welcome to this episode of the day. I have Mike Hoffman. He is the passive income guy. Mike, go ahead, do an introduction for yourself. Tell us your day to day role and maybe one of your passions in life.
Thanks, Brent. Fired up to be here. So for me, when you talk about entrepreneurship, it's kind of looking back on it where it all started for me back in the Midwest with a lemonade stand when I was 12, and just kind of parlaying that entrepreneur spirit to where I am today. And now I have a little diversification with different passive income streams from vending to Bitcoin mining to e-commerce stores and real estate. So try to dabble in a little bit of everything and then double down when it's working.
That's awesome. So, a passion in life? What do you have as a passion?
Yeah, I think for me it's all about freedom. I before I really kind of realized like with vending machines, you're making money when you're sleeping. Literally, I was living in the Silicon Valley in a very cutthroat area of the world, and working a ton. And then so for me now, it's like looking back, like that was a good phase of my life, but now it's all about freedom to spend more time with my family, my health, all of those things.
That's awesome. Perfect. And I know Portland has a great marathon. So, I haven't done Oregon yet, but I'm going to get to it.
Come on out. There's a lot of runners here with Nike HQ around.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. All right. So before we get into content, though, you have voluntold or volunteered for the Free Joke Project. I'm just going to tell you a joke. Just give me a rating 1 through 5. So here we go. Managing your okay. I'll start over. Delivery problem. Here we go. One more time. Managing your weight around the holidays just requires a little planning. For example, I took the batteries out of my scale on Wednesday.
I like that one. I thought it was going to be something around weight. I give it a 4.
Oh, good. All right. Thank you. All right. Even with the poor delivery, I appreciate it.
Uh,
All right. So I'll give me a little background on you and how you got into what you're doing. You mentioned Silicon Valley, so I'm assuming that you weren't doing virtual vending machines there or starting a SaaS company about around vending. Tell us about how you got into what you're doing.
yeah, so my background's actually in human performance and the whole idea around health and longevity. And I was a human performance coach in the Bay with elite level athletes, a lot of pro and special operations community, where we would do beta testing with different wearables to really kind of push the envelope with training. And that job led me to traveling a lot, which led me to being in an airport a lot, which led to a lot of delayed flights late at night when there was no restaurants open in airports, hence vending machines. And then also what was in these vending machines, I was like, we already have a national obesity crisis. Like, what the heck? So that led me back to the entrepreneurial spirit down a path of kind of understanding the market a little bit of okay, so this machine, like what does it cost? And one of the things too, Brent, when I was at that phase pre-COVID, was I got into real estate, but I could never come up with like the hurdle with real estate scaling your portfolio is always more down payments without getting creative with financing. And so what fascinated me about vending was when I got my first vending machine, I went to buy it from a very legit manufacturer in the Midwest by you. They were like, okay, yeah, you can finance it with no money down. And I was like, wait, what? And then they were like, oh, yeah, and your first payment's not till 90 days after the machine's been delivered. So I was like, wait, time out. So no money down, and I can do 90 days of sales before my first $100 payment. Like, why wouldn't I get 25 of these? So, yeah, that's kind of what led me to building a route. I have a route here in Eugene, and then I bought a route that we manage remotely in Chicago as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my next follow up question on that was I have a friend who did or does vending machines. And I know that he talks about the logistic part of it is something
Mhm.
he has to be present for. But it sounds like for Chicago, you have somebody that handles the logistics part of it.
Yeah, so that must be the Silicon Valley in me because I'm all about I'll do something active and then I want to make it as passive as possible. And if that means I have to pay someone to do that, I'll do it. So yeah, that's what I've been on this kind of mission of like, how do we build out a system that's rinse and repeat? And then also the coach in me. Now I help a lot of people build vending routes wherever they live, ranging from Hawaii to Miami and Boston and everywhere in between. So with that, there's a system of how to run a route and build a route.
When it comes to building a route, do you have to have a certain demographic, or is it big town, small town, or tell us a little bit about how the demographics works in that.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Brent. I think it just kind of depends. I mean, obviously, you don't want. We tried to help build a route for someone in western Nebraska that had a town of, I think, 2,000, and they had one like target, and it was the Super 8 along I-80. That was the kind of the truck stop only location that would justify the foot traffic. So you definitely need some type of people that live there. And then with regards to demographics, it's kind of twofold. It's at the end of the day, you want a place that has a busy parking lot, whether that's a apartment complex, whether that's a airport, whether that's a medical office that has, orthopedics on the first floor, oncology on the second floor, but everyone's coming through a main entrance. Like at the end of the day, you kind of the simplest thing is if it's a parking lot that's full, then it probably justifies having a machine.
When you talk about the the locations, do you have to? I'm assuming you have to arrange the putting the machine in the place that you don't own, right? And I just read an article about Redbox and how many Redbox vending machines or disc machines that it's out of business, but they can't be disconnected, and the electrical bills for all these Redbox machines. How does that work? If you have to arrange with the landlord to put the machine and all the
Yeah, we
logistics
definitely
around
don't.
that.
Yeah, so the Redbox machines, that's interesting. So they must have to be like hardwired into the building like a sauna because I'm really big in not the old school vending machines with the motors and the codes, more of a what I would consider a smart cooler with a point of sale on the door. And so those are all newer models that are eco-friendly, so a 110 outlet. So, those are, I mean, it's literally like a smart fridge is how you can think of it, or like a commercial fridge that plugs into the wall. So those are pretty easy to move around compared to the big old red box vending machines.
Do you I guess getting back then to the logistics you have to arrange with the landlord to put the machine there and all those things that you help with that part of it.
Yeah, it could be a landlord, it could be a business owner. I mean, it could be anything. We've done YMCA's where it's like the city. I mean, anywhere that there's foot traffic. And for a lot of these places, they just want their residents, clients, employees happy. They're not looking for, hey, Brent, I want, like, most people think, oh, you got to pay revenue share. And it's like, when I started building my route, of the first 20 locations, I think I put in only two of them wanted a revenue share.
And when you say, I mean, there's revenue share, and there's just, does anybody want electricity or anything like that, or is they just it's negligible, and they just like you said, they would like their employees to be happy. So I envision employee lunchrooms are the biggest ones that is something where if they have enough employees in house, that a lunchroom would be somewhere to put it.
Yeah, break rooms are perfect. I think the electricity on a machine is less than $10. Like I think one of our properties told us it like increased their bill $6 a month or something. So again, paying for convenience, but you're right on the employee side. We have a roofing company that only has 25 employees, and you think 25 employees, there's no way that's enough foot traffic. Well, the founder of this roofing company, he actually did a business plan where he broke out all my employees going to the 7-Eleven during their lunch break. They're taking our work trucks there. It's a roofing company. They're paying way too high of prices and literally taking our paychecks and going to spend it at a 7-Eleven. So like he had this whole business model to the point where everything in our coolers, he cuts the price in half to the employees, and then we bill him for the other half. So if it's like a $5 sandwich, he doesn't want them going to the 7-Eleven to get a sandwich for, let's say, $6. So he's like, I want to charge 250 for that sandwich, and then you invoice me for the other 250.
That's interesting. So I had a meeting yesterday, and in the hallway was a donut vending machine. So you talked a little bit about health. And by the way, the donuts are $4 each, which I think is a little bit expensive, but
Absolutely, for a
it's
donut.
been the machine's been there for a long time, so I'm assuming it sells because it's still there. How do you how do you balance out the Cheetos compared to something that's a little bit more healthy?
Yeah, so this is part two of why I got into vending was this whole obesity crisis and working with our elite military. You kind of realize like our number one national security issue is high school graduates aren't fit enough to pass the requirements to join the Navy or the Army. They literally can't even do a 2 mile run or any of that kind of stuff, which is a little scary. So, my stance on that is you always start with things they want. So you get them to come by the machine, and then over time, you meet them in the middle. I remember one of the machines we started with, our number one sellers in like 2020 were Diet Cokes and like your traditional Reese's and stuff. And now that machine, I don't think we have anything in that machine that has more than 3 grams of sugar. Like it's all your kind of grain free chips, like, your Quest chips that have 18 grams of protein, not your Lay's or barbecue potato chips from the early 2000s.
My vision of seeing somebody at a machine is banging on it because the little dial thing hasn't
Motor.
dropped it.
Yeah.
Is that a thing of the past now?
Yeah, I don't try to use old school machines because you're also limited by what fits in the motor. So like with a lot of our smart coolers, we'll do everything from big old jugs of laundry detergent to tiny NyQuil and DayQuil Advil little travel packs. So um, I could even, the headaches of, oh, will this item fit in the motor? Now it's just a smart cooler with shelf space. So if it fits on the shelf, it's going to be totally, or you just take out the shelf and then you have an extra gap to put taller items in there.
One of the vending machines that I walk by at the airport is the Best Buy has, in the Twin Cities airport anyway, said Best Buy has vending machines where they have all kinds of very expensive headphones and
Hmm.
stuff in there. Do you work in non-food type of vending machines?
Yeah, there's some momentum right now, Brent, in this whole what I call the incidentals market. So for those that aren't aware, like Walgreens and Dollar Tree and CVS are closing a lot of their stores. So even back in Chicago, there's a high-rise commercial office building that is half occupied, but the Walgreens pulled out from the first floor. So now they're like, can we do incidentals in a machine? Because our tenants are asking more for literally like Advil and Tylenol than they are, Snickers.
How about machines that have adult items? And I'm thinking of, in the past, well, when I was younger, there was sometimes you'd come across one that had beer in it.
Mhm.
But there's also I'm sure in Oregon, there's THC beverages and things like that. How do those fit in, and are they legal anywhere?
Yeah, so they definitely fit in. The technology's there. There's machines now that have clear. So if you think of like TSA pre-check when you go to the airport, or like the clear pre-check, a lot of these machines you can have them have clear built into them. So like eye recognition and facial recognition with your ID. The key with regards to like liquor is like you need a liquor license at the property. So if you're going to throw this in a this machine in and let's say an apartment complex. If the apartment complex doesn't have a liquor license, you're kind of SOL.
Right, interesting. What if you had some advice for somebody giving or who wanted to start a vending machine route or get into this passive income business? What give us three things that you would tell somebody.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is it's not get rich quick. It's a total numbers game. You know, what's the saying? Like baseball, your best hitters in an all-star game have a batting average of 300. So be prepared to strike out 7 times, and that's okay. You just need more at bats. The second thing is there's opportunity. I mean, old school machines are on their way out. So even places that you might think like, oh, they already have a vending machine. Well, that's like your talk track because if they already have a machine with old school motors on it, you come in with these micro markets, let's say, there's huge opportunity there, even if you think the market's already saturated where you're going to be. And then I think the third thing is it's just the classic like entrepreneur DNA. You know, you be a self starter, and once you go for it, you got to go all in because if you do it, you know, with half the effort, you're going to get half the return.
How about competing routes? Do you, I mean, I think there's some movies out there that have vending machine routes where somebody's competing against somebody else, and is that a thing where somebody would have something plugged in, and maybe the landlord's opened another machine, but somebody doesn't want you in on their territory?
Potentially, I think so. I think, you know, I don't really try to kind of compete. If they already have the location, like, I don't really try to bark up that tree. But I will say that there's enough to go around. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of full parking lots out there and any city, whether that's Minneapolis or a smaller city where you could have 30 vendingpreneurs and they wouldn't be even feeling like they're on top of each other.
What now you at the very beginning you did mention that a lot of these companies will do no cash down and they'll finance it for you. How do they typically cash flow after that 90 days?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's why I
Oh,
got so excited. My first machine was cash flowing more than my first rental, and I put 20% down on a $100,000 house, and I put no money down on this vending machine.
if you have enough teenage kids, do you think that you could make it work at home?
Absolutely. We have multiple. I think there is no easier way, Brent, to teach your kids than, or to teach your kids supply and demand and economics 101 than a vending machine. We actually have a vendingpreneur from Minnesota that has, I think he's up to 40 locations now, and he has 4 kids between the age of 13 and 17, and he gives each kid a different machine, and they set the prices, they pick the products, and they track sales and inventory. So you want to talk about like teaching them, oh, are you priced too high? Are you giving the residents what they want? Like it's a real world lemonade stand of 2024.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, what sort of technology are in these machines now? Are you able to see them virtual or see them
Mhm.
from an app so you know what the inventory level is and things like that?
Absolutely in real time. So like right now I'm in Oregon, I could pull up in our dashboard and see, oh, we just sold a Dr. Pepper at a property in the Loop in Chicago.
Wow, that's incredible. Mike, as we have a few minutes left, and I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything they want at the end of the podcast. So, what would you like to plug today?
Um, I don't know. I'm a coach that gives away a lot of free content. So if you're interested, if this is intrigues you, feel free to check out Mr. Passive on Twitter or on X, because I literally share everything from what are the margins on a if you're doing 3 grand a month with a machine, like how much of that's take home, like to where to find locations and how to go door knocking to whatever. I'm an open book, or to how to teach teenage kids to go stock a machine. So I'm an open book on sharing content on X.
Great. And where's the best place to get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can get in touch with me on there or vendingpreneurs.com. You can schedule a call with our team, and if you're interested in really going down the route of building a route.
Perfect. I'll make sure I get those all on the show notes. And Last question: your favorite wearable device that's gone from the military to, and you were in the Bay Area, so you're part of Strava. Uh,
Mhm.
is there some devices that we should be looking at? Because if you're a numbers geek and you want to
Yeah,
make sure you track every power step and all that other fun
yeah.
stuff.
So I'll actually challenge you. So I got a Garmin and an Aura ring on right now, but I actually think the most significant when it comes to changing your daily habits is going to be wearing a continuous glucose monitor. In fact, I think Abbott and Dexcom just got approved to start selling these over the counter. But the way that those will show you how your blood glucose is impacted by the littlest things, whether that's exercise, Brent, or I'll give you a perfect example. When I would have chips and salsa, my blood glucose would spike. The minute I had chips, guacamole, and salsa in the same meal, the healthy fats from the guac would keep it neutral.
Wow. Yeah, tortilla chips are my weakness.
Yeah, yeah. But even when you talk about, we were chatting with about Hawaii before the call, like you think about poke, like what types of sauces on the poke will spike your
Mm,
glucose or apple, nowadays people know about the apple cider vinegar type pills you can take, but you now understand why people in the blue zone areas of the world, they have a salad with apple cider vinegar as a dressing before they eat their pasta, and that has stabilized their glucose to now crush pasta without spiking it.
wow. Yeah. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
So
for that.
I think a glucose monitor is, and it'll teach you how you respond to exercise, obviously. But for me, I mean, there's no better way to have an impact on your health than nutrition.
Anywhere you it's like a patch you wear just
Yeah,
24/7.
you can. Yeah, and then it just syncs with your phone. You
Right.
just hold your camera over it; it'll Bluetooth register. So you're literally there's probably a 5 minute lag, but tracking. I mean, I'll do experiments of like drinking a Pilsner beer versus a whiskey on the rocks, and it's amazing. Like even the littlest, like the lightest beers will spike my glucose.
Huh. So whiskey on the rocks is the answer. Got it.
Yeah, or vodka soda.
Yeah, right. My other weakness is beer. So beer and tortilla chips, I give them up at Lent. So
Yeah, maybe you don't
anyway,
want that glucose monitor.
yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
All right, Mike Hoffman, passive income guy. I'll make sure I get all your. Uh, I'll get all those, and there was vendorpreneur, right?
Yep, vendingpreneurs.com. You can schedule a free call if you're interested in learning more. We're an open book and happy to help any way we can.
That's great. I'll make sure I get all those in the show notes. And it's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Brent. Really appreciate what you do.